Hello! Hello everybody! One sec, let me just finish changing my profile picture. Okay. Okay. It is time. Oh wait, I need to shift this. Hold on, I need to move the window aside so I can see it better. Hello Elite Trainer. Hello Kota. Hello Matilda Hecker. Good evening. Yeah, good evening. Okay, so I think what we can do is we just keep going to Hope's quest until we finish Hope's quest. Then we can do other quests if we want. But I think when we do her quest, it's gonna be like we can only do her quest once a night anyway, so yeah, okay. So the other side of wait, let me turn off the fan. Turn off the fan. Alright. Oh.
My ear trumpet has been struck by lightning, gifted membership to Paladin STEM.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for gifting membership, my ear trumpet. Thank you so much. Paladin STEM got it. Oh, Nimby's here. Hello! Morning, Nimby. Okay. Yeah. We can just start because we're just here to start and we're gonna go for Hope because she's a Malkavian and we all love Malkavians here. Okay. When you get to the internet cafe, Hope is already waiting out front. The sight catches you off guard. A part of you suspected that she might be more of a shut-in. My haven is my castle type. Perfect timing. We need to go for a ride. Get in. She doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring expectantly, causing everyone's heads to turn. Not wanting to attract Neela's attention, you quickly slip into the back seat of the car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, this is New York City. Everyone's always in a rush, and this is even more true when you're kindred. Now allow me to take care of some business, and I'll be right with you. Even as she's zooming through traffic, she's still on her phone, of course. Watch the road, please. Shouldn't you look at the road from time to time? It might come as a bit of a shock to you, but I'm pretty decent in multitasking. It's pretty hard to make a living in this city. You gotta be at the top of your game at all times. Might as well explain my business plan to you while I'm at it. So another extremely online mock based in New York goes by the name of 𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒏 told me to Google Ethereum a few years ago. That's how I got into Bitcoin. And I found a new religion, 23-year-olds selling visions of governments replaced by benign code and decentralized consensus, masses ruled by algorithms as just as the laws of physics. Idiot man-child investors trying to shape their realities through sheer fanatical zeal, and dedicated collectors of things as abstract as rare SHA-2256 decryptions. Her driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you, or does she peek into the rearview mirror more often than she looks straight? A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value, only abstract beliefs matter, and your life savings can be ruined by a single bullshit tweet. How could I refuse the allure? I started buying low and selling high on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allowed me with 100 times leverage, as in, they'd lend me 100 times the capital I could bet with. I got lucky at the beginning and kept the ball rolling, shorting and longing, impulsively, recklessly. I got to a point where I became too big to fail, and that's when I cash out. The car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump up against the seat in front of you. Okay, the story will be continued later. We're here, right at our first stop. I'll need you to do me a favor. What's the favor? Nothing too difficult. Literally a jump in, jump out kind of deal. See that weird guy in a Yankees cap standing around the corner? Approach him, tell him you're young, hot, petite, ingenuine. Take the phone he gives you and bring it here. Get going, honey. It's legal to park here. You jump out the car and approach the man Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he seems pretty shady. The guy assumes a comically threatening pose as you approach him. The hell do you want? Hello and good morning, everyone. Hello, go mudbug. I am young, hot, petite, ingenuine. Oh, no offense, but I kinda expected a girl. No, yeah, my bad for assuming. Damn. He takes a phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you. Everything has been prepared and preloaded according to your instructions. Should take about 2 minutes to transfer the data. Now get out of here. The man walks away with an exaggerated hip-hop gait. You jump back into Hope's car. She immediately steps on the gas. You got the phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please. She connects the two smartphones using a cable and begins some sort of data transfer. Looks like it's an identical model. After a minute or so, the process is complete. Alright, goodbye, lovely. You served me well. Hope opens the car window, grabs her old phone. You're not expert enough to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had a $800 price tag slapped on it, and tossed it out the window. Surprised, you look behind you and see a car in the opposite lane run over the abandoned device. Hope notices your quizzical look. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately, and I'm not gonna use some cheap piece of shit, so it's a pretty expensive necessity. Intersection, red line. She takes advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle there is 𝑺𝒐𝒂𝒏𝒅𝒔 Beauty. Now, I was telling you a story. Cashing out. Right. At some point toward the end of 2017, I became convinced I needed to cash out. There was no way the bubble was going to last forever. I always knew there would be no grapes of wrath for the cryptocurrency era. It would have to be a series of profoundly antisocial, disconnected events. The whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of low millennials who rejected all established modern values and kept atoning for the original sin of not buying Bitcoin back in 2013. Another abrupt last-second turn. You are pressed against the window. What the hell is it with her driving style? Better life you never wanted to live anyway, and get a chance to win a priceless pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all worldly desires. Find joy in suicidal ideation. To this day, money holds no real value for me. It's as abstract as a video game score. A bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. So I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new arena. Elite New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them and make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. Of course I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something more than a star. A constellation. Another abrupt stop. This time next to the entrance of a shifty-looking back alley. Alright, friend. This time you're leaky gut syndrome, whistleblower extraordinaire. Whatever a press sneak wants a leak, you've got it. Got it? Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people as a last resort. It gets harder to protect my identity each time I show my face. And since I've got you, our man is waiting for you in this back alley. He's paying back a favor with a flash drive containing crucial information. We need to stay safe in the city. Retrieve it. I will circle the area. Make sure we aren't in danger right now. When you're done, get back here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good. You exit the car and see it drive away in a hurry, then head into the narrow passageway. Sure enough, there's a man waiting for you at the end of the back street, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, with a nervous eye tick. He looks even dodgier than the last guy you met. When you approach, he gives you a mean look.
Oh, hello! Hello, RL Trip. Welcome.
You lost or something? I'm leaky gut syndrome. You said you got a little something that might interest me. Of course. Straight to the point, aren't you? Alright then. Clumsily, he produces a USB stick from his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his hand back and gives you a sly grin. Getting all this data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery's unusually secretive person. Digging up dirt on her took more effort than I expected. Effort that should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask around about her, the more you expect a letter saying, "Give up your inquiries, which are completely useless," at your doorstep. Perhaps attached to a severed cat head. You catch my drift? Catch my drift? The secrecy surrounding her screams, friends in high places, brave new world order, Illuminati shit, you know? Makes me think I deserve some hazard pay. I'm a bluff. I ran a background check on you. You're not just some random schmuck off the street. No way you didn't know what you were walking into when you took on this job. And if you really didn't, I doubt you're the kind of journalist who can gather intel worth shit. You're bluffing the hell out of him, unsure if it's gonna work. It does. The man spits on the ground angrily and raises his hands in surrender. Alright. I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. My bad, okay? I'm aggressively introducing myself.
Hello, Mama. Welcome.
He extends the hand holding the flash drive towards you again. You take it. Oh yeah, one more thing. Not really sure what it's about, but one of my informants claims you might be interested in this. He reaches into his inner pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labeled simply as ABRH negative. You take a closer look, but that doesn't answer any of the questions that just appeared in your mind. You peek into the journalist's cold, blue eyes and see them twitch uncontrollably. Don't ask me. They said you'll know what to do with a leaky gut. Come on, take it. I'ma eat him instead. Nom. I'll take whatever I want, twitchy eye. He's only conscious long enough to manage one step backwards. A second later, your fangs are already sunk deep into his neck. His blood has a certain unpleasant 𝑺𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒎 quality to it and a bitter aftertaste, but it's very strong and quickly intoxicating. As you finish your meal, you feel consumed by euphoria. Having temporarily satisfied your hunger, you put the collapsed man against the wall and look him over one last time. You found him fishy and trusted your instincts.
Hello, 𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒏. Welcome, 𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒏.
Every fiber of your vampiric existence screamed that the journalist was absolutely not to be trusted. The blood bag your victim was carrying fell on the ground during your assault.
I'ma take it.
You casually pick it up and leave the alley the way you came. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk out onto the street. Doesn't even fully stop when you approach, but slows down just enough so that you can jump in. The moment you close the door, she leans into the gas pedal with her full strength, causing the engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems as a person. We got it? You throw the flash drive onto the seat next to her. Perfect. Any problems? How did the meeting go? You relate the entire back alley encounter to her. Toward the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road or phone, but directly at your face. The realization startles you. You've got that bag of blood with you. You place it on the seat next to her. She peeks at the label. She looks at it again, and she steps on the brakes. Fuck. I'm okay. She grabs both the bag and the flash drive you've obtained and throws them out the window. Looks like her favorite method of taking care of problems. That bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found in less than 1% of the United States population. Glad you didn't drink it. Who knows what they've done to the bag? Some New York City vets can tell you wild stories about using irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred. You admit you did feed on the man who gave you the bag instead. Good for you, I suppose. I don't think they've done anything to his blood. That would have been some kind of a 5-dimensional chess move. But yeah, this contact is compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist friend Emile. Goodbye, dear leaky gut syndrome. You've both outlived your usefulness. After a brief period of hesitation, she deletes the whistleblower extraordinaire account and sighs. Another one bites the dust. I've got another story to finish. I was talking about Bitcoin and then, where did I stop? Scamming. Alright, you know who saw the real face of the city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? A Russian working-class girl, born as Anna Sorokin. She moved to New York in 2013 and convinced everyone that she was this insanely rich trust fund kid, a wealthy German heiress. Manhattan elites totally fell for it, and they bought it for years while she swindled them. She only got arrested in 2017 after having stolen almost $300,000. Sorokin created her Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone that she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. She even made up a fake family financial advisor, then killed him off when he became a liability, and apparently most of her rich victims never admitted to getting scammed out of shame. By now you're sure, the way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving, she's trying to escape somebody. Now Delvey's locked up with murderers in Rikers, writing her memoirs, apparently picking a lot of fights. Bless her heart, she'll forever be an inspiration. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old-ass financial advisor. A whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get in touch with and collaborate makes it super easy to earn more money than I invest. You've seen it firsthand, both as a deceiver and the deceived. It's a city of illusions. Make non-existent money, come up with a financial status, play nonsensical camarilla games. And one day, you might just find yourself at the top. Alright, we're reaching our last stop. You look around, you're coming up on a parking garage. You're gonna take an elevator to the 17th floor, give the masked man you meet in front of the door this memory card. It contains an, art house movie I've made. That was a firework. Art house movie? What do you mean by art house? You've seen me rehearse it in my haven. You know what I mean. You didn't think I was doing that just for show, did you? I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who'll pay a fortune for a convincing vampire cam show. I don't need money, but their IT industry connections gave me an idea. When we give them this memory card, we'll gain access to tech that should allow us to take on my biggest enemy in the city. So your nickname this time is going to be a crash. You are momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. The first thing you know for sure, if you were still a normal human being, you'd be dead. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed into Hope's vehicle at the maximum speed it was able to achieve in its closed-off space. The driver has already managed to kick open the mangled door next to him and stumble out of his seat. Now he wordlessly approaches the trunk and takes a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. He starts approaching the lavender wreck of Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job that he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him now. I'ma punch you. Your instincts take over. You don't come up with a strategy or an optimal route. You simply start running towards the gunman, yelling. For a split second, he's completely dumbfounded. Then he opens fire. The bullets put a brief stop to your sprint. You're engulfed in pain, your flesh and clothes being shredded to bits. But when his magazine runs out, you're still standing and determined to move forward. He tries to act as quickly as possible, but he can't reload his weapon before you get to him. A tackle, a primal scream, left punch, left punch, right punch. You return this cruelty tenfold to his face. When you're done, the head is barely recognizable as human. You stand above the gunman's body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. That's when you hear her voice. Ugh. Hope slithers out of her car and sees you standing over your assailant. Ah, you did. Pretty good. She approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look at it. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, she lets out an annoyed grunt. I knew it would be this asshole. He's been following us all day, and I know just who he belongs to. Even before she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually, she succeeds. You see a nonchalant woman in business casual on her smartphone screen. Kara Montgomery, how may I help you? Kara? Hope, didn't expect you to ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, did something happen? Did something happen? Your fucking ghoul tried to kill me, you crazy bitch. That's what fucking happened.
Hello, Nash. Welcome, Nash.
Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Calm yourself, you, for Christ's sakes. This is a baseless accusation. I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working at your motherfucking company. Come on. You know I can't be held responsible for the independent actions of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it over? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Kara from contacting her. You corporate shithead. You make me sick. Tired, she turns her gaze to the dead ghoul. I'll dispose of him. Help me put him in my car. 30 seconds later, his body is laying on the back seat of the lavender-colored wreck. Okay, good. You take a look at the scene of carnage in front of you. Every second we're here gets us closer to a serious masquerade violation. I'll have to exchange my door-worthy masterpiece for the goods some other time. She gets behind the wheel and you follow her inside the car. Meet me in my haven when I tell you it's safe. For now, I need to dump this asshole somewhere, get my car fixed, and plan our counterattack. You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off, and before she leaves, she makes what's about to come perfectly clear. If we want to survive in this city, Kara Montgomery needs to die. She disappears into traffic, and you disappear into your place.
Okay, that's half the day.
And then we can go for one of the others, or we can go and do the holy thing. I think we would go do the holy thing. And then after we're done with Hope, then we go for the others. Heck yeah, my luck is finally changing.
Good job, Nash.
Okay, so we received an invitation to meet a mysterious someone at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. Except you haven't been to a church since you became a vampire, or kindred as the euphemism goes. You've had to focus on concrete, practical things like survival and feeding. You've learned the essentials of the vampire experience, but you don't really have a clear idea of what it all means. Ghouls are mortal to a fan of vampire shocking diseases and a basic lowdown. That's true. They basically just give him a gun and was like, here, go shoot at them. And it did, of course it didn't work. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine is a New York landmark. You've been inside once before when you were much younger. You marveled at its Gothic facade. Looking at it now from across the street, it feels ominous. The prospect of an annoyed invitation to a secret meeting is a worrying one, but the venue is well chosen. It's hard to imagine a violent attack in a place like this, with eyes everywhere. You enter the cathedral discreetly. You've quickly learned this is an essential skill for a vampire, how to move without anyone noticing you. The full force of the cathedral's architecture hits you as you walk between the pews. If the architect meant to create the feeling of being small in the face of God's glory, mission accomplished. Based on the note, you're assuming that whoever you're meeting is somewhere in the front. As you step closer to the high altar, it feels as if something is dragging at your feet, as if the stone beneath you resisted your movement. Does God still listen to you? It's been a long time since you prayed. You wonder whether God listens to creatures like you. Fatalistically, you take a step, then another. You're not sure if your God is present in this cathedral, but perhaps it doesn't matter. What you feel is real enough. There's an old man sitting in the front. You see only the back of his head, bowed down in silent prayer. Your footsteps echo on the floor and he turns to look at you. You can't take your eyes off him. He's tall, dignified, white hair balding, a few strands escaping to the sides. He's wearing glasses and simple clerical clothing. His eyes are warm and pale, too kind for someone like you. Something is wrong. You feel heavy, as if a giant hand was pressing you down. The skin on your face is burning. Perhaps unconsciously, you expected something like this, as a vampire walking into a cathedral. Only it's not the building or God making you feel like you're burning alive. It's the man, the priest. Welcome, my child. The priest's tone is kind, but the rising panic inside is telling you that kindness is not for the likes of you. But by now I will run. The man is looking straight into your soul. You turn and run the way you came, stumbling out of the cathedral. You emerge outside, confused and scared. What was that? At least you escaped unharmed. You stand on the sidewalk, confused and why did I repeat again? No enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow you. The night air is wet with the smells of the city, the same as every night. True belief. Yeah, true faith. How did it feel? Is the priest corrupt? No, we are corrupt. We're a vampire. The priest has true faith. You look at the man speaking to you. He's well dressed, as if a little archaic, dark-haired, handsome like a character from an old movie. He smiles as if he knows something you don't. You glance around. There are people on the street. You don't appear to be in immediate danger. Why does it hurt so much? That's the question I wanted to talk to you about. Let me introduce myself. My name is 𝑬lkS. We share many things in common, even if you don't know me. Benoit offers his hand to you. I shake hand. Here you go, here my hand. Benoit's handshake is firm and dry. He looks at you intently, as if trying to find something in your eyes. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment? Benoit points to a park bench nearby, in darkness because of a broken streetlight. Wary, you decide to follow him. Only an enemy totally unconcerned with the masquerade would attack you here. Benoit sits down and you follow suit. For a moment, you both contemplate the cathedral in silence. I know how it feels, what you just felt. I have experienced it myself many times. For a moment, you consider how to respond. It's clear Benoit sent the invitation to come here and orchestrated this little setup. I want to punch you. Do I have a reason not to? You'll have to decide that for yourself. Let's talk a while, and if you still feel violent, I'll let you take a punch at me. I wanted you to meet Father Anthony, or see him, experience him. Did you wonder why it felt like that? It was your priest. First I thought because I was in a church, but then I realized it came from him, the priest. I think you're right. It does come from him. It's his faith that makes you feel like that. He's safe in his belief while you are one of the damned. Do you ever wonder what's the role of a vampire in God's creation? You stop to think. Of course you've wondered what this is all about. Whether it's about God or nature, you don't really know what being a vampire means. That's the trouble with the masquerade. A human faced with a human problem can go online and find something that helps. You can't. The masquerade means that everything there is to know about your condition is secret, hidden away. You're left relying on the unreliable opinions of people like Benoit. Cain. Yeah, it's from Cain. Suddenly, Benoit takes your hand and presses it against his chest. As he stares into your eyes, you feel his heart stop. My heart no longer beats, yet I move, I talk. Is that how God intended us to be? There's a natural explanation for all this. We just don't know it yet. Maybe there is. I don't know either. But I know that Father Anthony's faith is real. Sometimes I'm skeptical too. But in Father Anthony's presence, I know faith is real. I know it because it hurts so much. But perhaps you have questions about faith and our kind. Yes, what are we? There is the usual story, which most of us believed, especially before modern times. Cain was the first murderer. As punishment, God cursed him to walk in darkness and carry his mark. Cain passed on his curse as he drank the blood of the living, and thus we were born. God's curse passed on to someone new with each embrace. Maybe it's true. We all have our lineages, our sires, and the sires of our sires. If you trace those lineages all the way to the top, you find Cain, the original vampire. I suppose God is cruel. The curse perpetuates itself, leading to new evils. Did I come here just to talk about religion? I know it's overwhelming. It was for me when I first met Father Anthony. I know there are others like him, whose faith shines like a beacon. Priests, old ladies, children, anyone can have that conviction inside them. This is too much. It's too much for me, man. You expect me to go along with all this insanity? Benoit nods patiently. Let's meet again in a few nights, here at the cathedral. We can talk more after you've thought it through. You leave Benoit sitting in the shadow of the cathedral, contemplating what lies within, role-playing as a clueless Doug, more like just being role-playing, being overwhelmed with all the info dump. It will be easier to ignore his words without the reality of what you experience. Father Anthony was holy, you know it to be true, but what does that mean? And that's the end of the day, and then we can rest. And then it's the next day. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. What did she need me for? I'm not in the position to ask. So in confidence, your character is confident with his strength, but not much when it comes to history? Yes, considering he is an artiste. Actually, maybe he would know art history, but not other history, maybe. The car's waiting, shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave. Disappear. Let Sophie find somebody else to employ. But then you remember the anarch thug being cut down by Kadir and how close you were to that same fate, not even a week ago, and that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. Wait a minute, aren't vampires like kind of evil? Yeah, that's why we are vampires. Artists will have good perception, that's true. Yours would be a dungeon guy? What do you mean, like, if you play? Oh, hello, Daryl. Welcome, Daryl. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Chad. Thank you for coming. The change in mood into the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. Some vampires resist vampire curse. Denial make them insane, make them more desperate to do everything they can, even if through violence. You mean like, wait, how do they resist the curse though? You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that, just a handful of nights ago, would make you feel like melting. No, in chat, Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. Nosferatu agreed in every clan's a different curse. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, that's what they meant, okay. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more on Kaiser? He's been here a long time, about as long as I have. He's got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He is very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night, and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out toward Coney Island. Nosferatu are ugly, but good info gatherers. Yeah, they're information brokers. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant at this time of night. Thank God for Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. Aspects. Open the senses. You thought something bad happened? It's just carnival noises. Yeah, that's just screaming from, like, carnival rides. You take a moment to focus and try to pick up on any details that will help you with locating Kaiser. Initially, the noise from the nearby amusement park floods your mind and momentarily stuns you. A child's crying, the loud bang of a car door closing, the bright, old-school logo of the Cyclone roller coaster all overload your senses, and you have to lean on the nearby booth to stay upright. You regain control, start walking, listening in, taking in the sights and smells, looking for something, anything to point you in the right direction. A man talking on his phone, a snippet of conversation. Cleaned rest stuff from the garage, tidied up in general. The limo would fit for sure. Come on, don't be like that, boss. I didn't mean it. Yes, I know. I am. It's a privilege, Mr. Kaiser. The call ends. The man tucks his phone away. It's a fancy model. Doesn't look like anything readily available on the market, and doesn't fit the guy's rugged looks at all. He notices you. Hey, what you looking at, huh? You're just the guy I was looking for. Care to call your boss again for me? Huh? No, I think you heard wrong. Piss off. Wait, should I intimidate him? Yes, I should intimidate him. I just be like, hey, listen. Listen, man, I need you to contact your boss and I need you to do it now. Quit wasting my time, or things will get unpleasant real soon. He doesn't take that well. He reaches into his pocket, produces a gun. You rush him. Bang! The bullet hits you in the arm and goes out the other side. It hurts, but what would be a debilitating wound for a mortal is just a nasty scratch for you. It takes a bit of brawling. The man's stronger than you expect, but using your powers, you're able to overcome him. With a few hits to the jaw, the man passes out from the pain. Searching him, you find a fancy phone that doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. The phone's locked, but a recent smudge on the screen gives you a rough idea of what the combination might be. You get it right on the second try. There's just one number in the phone book, unlabeled. You dial it and hear someone pick up. The voice is like a rusty pitchfork scraping against gravel. Jackie, you're messing up my snuff session here. It better be something big. I have something for you from Sophie. Sophie Langley, care to come pick it up? Silence. Not even a sound. The call ends. You try calling again, but the number is blocked. Nothing to do but wait to see if it shows up. Now 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens, an invitation. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all of this visual noise, and then realize there's nobody there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagine, all sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. Suddenly, somebody grabs you from behind, twists your arm, and pushes you against the car's roof. I got him, boss. I have them. The Nosferatu chuckles. Oh, congratulations, dickweed. Could have done that before you gave away the fucking phone. Just let them go already. What? You're going to make me repeat myself, you motherfucker? I question rich people why they put a stripper pole in a limo. But pole dancing in a moving vehicle would make someone dizzy. I thought it was a joke. I didn't think there was an actual stripper pole. He lets go. You take a look at him. The man is confused and clearly hurting. He flashes you an angry stare, but obeys his boss's orders to the letter. What? Are you waiting for a formal invitation? Get in the car. We have some talking to do. The doors close behind you. So Langley, huh? I'm guessing you've got something for me then. You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happen to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Who do people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address. She can give me something else. This is blocked off, right? Yeah, this is blocked off. I'm too hungry because because I'm hurt, I think. I can only use presents, but that's a really bad idea because it's not gonna work on it. You take on the most persuasive voice and amicable stance you can in what basically constitutes the lair of a megalomaniacal monster. Oh, hello, Ray. Welcome, Ray. Hope the screen going well. Yeah. I think we're gonna die soon. In the game, maybe. But yeah, it's going well. Come on, man. Don't send me back empty-handed. Take the data and honor the deal. It'll mean a lot to me. The sound of the Nosferatu it produces is supposed to be laughter, you think. You're pretty sure he'll fall over and die at any second if it's anything other than that. Ooh, look at me. I'm so pretty and well-spoken. I'm gonna feed you this bullshit and you're gonna cram it in and ask for seconds. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I should do for you to try to pull that trick on me? I should mutilate your face and rub sulfur into the wounds, rip your tongue out and use it to stuff a fucking turkey. Only see, I'm in a gracious mood tonight. Plus I hate turkeys. They disgust me. So I'm gonna give you a chance to make this little transgression up to me. I'll contact you. Maybe I'll even throw in that stupid address so Langley can shove it up her— I'm not gonna say that. But right now, unless you want me to get really pissed off, you'll show yourself out. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo's on its way. Why are the characters such meanies? Well, it's because we wasted his time, and then we basically insulted him. Reminds me of Zebra Vampire. You could use some abilities if you have enough blood. Really? If you like, even if they're low gen? Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. I need blood. But I guess we'll go for Hope. Kara wants to meet Hope, decides you should see her alone, with an ace up her sleeve. When you reach the cafe, you are welcomed by the familiar face of the waiter who first led you inside. You exchange looks and nods. He hides his vape pen in his back pocket. Low blood means manic. It's dangerous because character turned feral. Yeah, I get it. But it's like, I guess maybe it's because I attacked him and I intimidated him and I got shot. And also I used power. But I fed yesterday. I thought it would be fine. She's been expecting you. Something happened to her car and she hasn't exactly left her room ever since. This is a VN of Vampire the Masquerade. Always saw that with third person only. Yeah, this is a visual novel of Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the Masquerade is basically like D&D universe but vampires. It's hard to explain. It's a tabletop thing. Gotta check this out? Yeah, go ahead. Check it out. This is a Coteries of New York. It's basically the first game in a trilogy, and I think it does a good well of just kind of explaining the basics to people who don't know, because it has a glossary and stuff, and it kind of assumes that you don't know anything because you're starting off as someone who doesn't know anything in the first place. You can also just play Bloodlines. Bloodlines is a good game. He scratches his head, shrugs, and gestures at you to follow him. It's the same route as before. First beyond the locked door at the end of the room with all the computers, then into an endless grey labyrinth. Finally, you reach a door that would look like any other to a random bystander. Of course, by now you know that Hope's Haven lies beyond it. The waiter bids you adieu in an exaggerated bow and starts walking back to the cafe. You enter the familiar room. This time, the lights are on the inside. Hope is inside, walking around nervously, overseeing every screen in sight. When she spots you, she wastes no time on introductions. It's based on a tabletop. Yeah, it's based on a tabletop. There's like tabletop books about it, and you can probably just YouTube Vampire the Masquerade games and see like how people kind of play it. If you're interested in like the tabletop one, or you can also just play Bloodlines. Instead of the usual D&D dice roll, the rolls favor high rolls. You need X amount of success rolls over the challenge roll. Yeah. So it has a different system, but I just explain it very, very simply that it's basically D&D but vampires. Because people know D&D more. Good old D10s. Yeah. Hope is inside, walking around nervously, overseeing every screen in sight. When she spots you, she wastes no time in introductions. Kara Montgomery, what do you know of her? Not a lot. No. You could have seen her in listicles such as Top 5 Badass Women in Tech 2018, 12 CEOs who spark innovation through empathy, and 20 entrepreneurs with mysterious ties to Jeffrey Epstein. You don't get to voice your answer. The question was just a minor courtesy. She has a monologue to deliver and she won't allow any interruption. 20 years ago, she was a failed .com investor. Now she's CEO of Double Spiral, a brand management startup, working at the crossroads of big data and influencer culture. The quotation marks are audible, dripping with venom. Long story short, she spent out years convincing her Camarilla contacts, as in out-of-touch old farts angry about smartphones, that Kindred can benefit from controlling the internet. Her IT ghouls have done a lot of research in deepfakes, AI, and machine learning. Her goal is the ability to generate thousands of believably human online accounts. Basically, an army of posters that could brute force anything into the mainstream discourse. The elders took a while to get the concept, but eventually Kara got their blessing. The thing is, she claims her tech is ready to be tested, but it needs one final component to work properly, and that's why she pauses. She proposed a truce. You don't want to pick challenges you have less dice for if it's difficulty 5 to a die. Yeah, because if you have less dice, you're less good at it. Yeah. So you gotta be more good at it to get more successes and more difficulties. Succeed the difficulties. What truce? What kind of truce? The become my friend nor face of violent death kind of truce. Not exactly fucking convincing if you ask me. But no matter how much I hate her guts, this is a blessing in disguise. Hear me out. She picked a public place in Manhattan, neutral ground where we can meet without the fear that the other party might do something stupid and violate the masquerade. She just wants to talk. You will go there in my place and listen to her terms. We won't accept them, of course, especially not after she just tried to kill us. You will steal her voice and walk away. Steal her voice? What next? Will you trade her mermaid tail for legs? Doesn't the Camarilla shun internet news due to OPSEC? Yes, but I think this is like... I guess it's just young vampire trying to influence. I think that internet use is like kind of like a gray area, because like some people, some of the higher ups allow it, and like some people turn a blind eye, but mostly they shun it though. A Disney joke. Sweet. What comes next? Will you hit me with a topical Harry Potter reference? I'm not trying to be obtuse here. Wait a second and let me explain my plan. You see, there is only one way to even the odds. We have to hit Kara where it hurts, and she's only got one weak point, Double Spiral headquarters. Kara's the only one there with access to every room. The security is something she came up with herself, voice-based, but using a different password phrase every time. That means just recording her talking is not enough if you want to get in. That's why I started selling illicit materials to people with access to advanced deepfake audio technology. I've got it right in this room, and all I need is a sample base that will allow me to manufacture a bot that talks like her. To monitor data, I need to stay behind. Still, I think the plan is pretty simple. You talk to her while wearing a wire. I process the recordings here to steal her voice, and voila, she's wide open. Then we invade Double Spiral and destroy it from within. The evil is defeated. I become part of your crew. Happy ending for everybody. How does that sound to you? Sounds fun. Is your character a charismatic one? I think it depends on what options the game gives us. Happy to hear it. Hope shakes her head and claps her hands. When she speaks up, she sounds different. More spaced out, stuttering. Alright, let me fix you up in the hardware. She stands up, she hands you a minuscule earpiece and starts attaching a small decorative pin to her clothes, along with some mask wiring. It's a directional microphone. I can clean up the audio later, but keep it pointed directly at Kara as much as possible, alright? You put on the earpiece she gave you. It fits snugly deep inside your right ear. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The hardware works flawlessly and the audio quality seems great. You give Hope an affirmative sign with your head. Beautiful. Kara designated the meeting place as the vessel. You've heard about the place, right? It's right by the eastern end of the Lincoln Tunnel. A giant pile of staircases, basically impossible to miss. Manhattan's answer to the Eiffel Tower, or a gaudy monument to being only ever so slightly free, depending on who you ask. I drive you there, but my car is still in the shop, and I don't want to risk being spotted by Kara's people, and I need to process the voice data from here. Which means I have a perfectly acceptable number of excuses for not letting myself get anywhere close to that demonic old hag. You involuntarily roll your eyes a little bit. Hope sits in front of her screens, pretending not to have noticed. So, should we get the show on the road or what? Ready whenever you are. No sense lingering here. You get back to the street and find your car. Wrapping up this show as quickly as possible sounds like a good idea. Around 30 minutes later, you are in front of the vessel. Hope's description, a giant pile of staircases, wasn't particularly helpful. From the distance, the building looks more like a giant honeycomb, designed to swarm with tourist bees. At least during the day, that is. At the moment, the place is closed to general public. A few men who look vaguely threatening and out of place are making sure nobody unwanted gets in. However, you have no problem getting up the stairs. All it takes is an exchange of knowing glances with one of the guards. You are expected. A lone figure appears in your sight, staring down at the streets of Manhattan. You know, city people often complain about being unable to see the starry skies, but I always thought the real tragedy was how they're unable to appreciate the man-made sea of lights that surrounds them. You can teach people a lot of things, but you can't teach them to see, huh? You recognize the face from Hope's phone. Finally, you meet Kara Montgomery in the flesh. She turns to you, puts on a wide smile, and shakes your hand with a firm grip. First, a representative of Sophie Langley, now a representative of Hope. Not the way I developed my own career, but I gotta say, not many neonates get around the way you do. Hardy fucking hard. Hope speaks up in your ear for the first time, seething with contempt. Although Kara couldn't possibly have heard her, she immediately goes on to address her absence. Can't say I expected her to actually arrive here, with you or instead of you. On the other hand, I am sure every single word I will say will be instantly relayed to her. And for the first time in forever, your empty blabbering will serve an actually useful cause. So let me make sure we cut out everyone but the middleman for a while, okay? She takes out her phone and taps its touchscreen. In a few seconds, the barely perceptible buzzing sound in your ear disappears completely. You can't hear Hope anymore. It's probable she can't hear your voice right now, either, which would mean she might be busy raging and cursing out everything in her sight at the moment. This obviously wasn't something she expected to happen. Could it be that Kara saw through your plan? You have to play it cool and see what happens next. Knowing Hope, you've probably heard whatever scraps can be Googled about me and a pile of insults for good measure. Obviously, I know everything that's to be known about you as well, Chad. I don't believe we have a need for formal introductions. But first off, let me apologize for the discomfort my former employee has caused you. I wasn't remotely aware of his planned actions against Hope. I fully condemn them. I'm glad to see you unharmed, and of course, applaud your swift disposal of the psycho. Langley chose you well. Brief silence. So let me cut to the chase here and present myself the best way I know how, through my ideas. Who do you think has a monopoly on reality? Not much for small talk, is she? Who do you think has a monopoly on reality? Corporations? That's a fairly typical answer. Very 21st century sounding. Have they succeeded in replacing the state here, though? She signals to someone behind you. For a while, you've been watched by Kara's men, who circle around the staircase, presumably her ghouls. One of them sets off downstairs. You know, Bolivia just had a military coup. Hundreds of new accounts posting about nothing but Bolivian politics in English set out to convince every random person online that the US wasn't to blame. Sloppy work, if you ask me. Now imagine this. a 17-year-old K-pop fan from Ohio writing an entire thread about how relatives in La Paz are actually glad the president is gone. A film reviewer with a side interest in politics selling you a CIA-approved narrative about Evo Morales. An approachable fitness guy explaining the situation to you in simple terms, just like it is. Animated voice, expressive gestures, and steady eye contact. She's taught herself how to project a good image, but isn't a natural yet. At times, it feels as if she's screaming at you to trust her. It's not hard to emulate the masses. Reach out to one of those Eastern European troll farms, and bang! A few hours later, you have a clone army that will instantly voice their support for any cause. You will spread your message, but you won't foster a new culture that serves your goals, won't masquerade your messaging as independent thought. For that, you need personalities, not the masses. But the ability to emulate personalities, a whole different ballgame, not a craft, but an art. You need to understand your fabrication so deeply that you start to hate it, and then learn to love it. And if you want to make a bunch of those personalities follow one agenda, you need a once-in-a-lifetime team to achieve that, a like-minded artist collective, both ambitious and obedient. Even though you can't hear Hope's voice in your ear right now, you could swear you hear her in Kara's speech. It's the exact same tone she was using when monologuing in the car. One of them must have been a big influence on another, or perhaps they used to be in a position where they both shaped each other's personas. Hard to say, only one thing is for sure. And that is, Hope must be absolutely furious right now. Is it possible that Kara knew about her plot? Fingers crossed she doesn't. The state is satisfied when an account that went unused for 5 years suddenly starts yelling imperialist propaganda into the void. The aging corporations are too set in their ways. But imagine a fresh startup that enables the proliferation of ideas adjacent to the prince's plans for the future. Now imagine getting into bed with the biggest corporations and agencies. So many lives could be improved, or even saved from the raids of First Light. I have the infrastructure. I have the elder support. All I need now is a mastermind at the center of it all. Hope. Yes, Hope. She looks down and takes in the scenery below for a while. Then she points at her t-shirt, the one piece of clothing that clashes with the rest of her outfit. You know, I'm a huge fan of punk. The leading idea of my company, Double Spiral, is to make everything I do a little bit punk. I'm all about clashing ideas. I'm all about disruption. You blink a few times in quick succession. Oh God, you think to yourself, she's that kind of person. You saw a lot of them in your old life. Another rich idiot who thinks deals are an art form too, hell-bent on perverting the meaning of any piece of actual art that hasn't been thoroughly ruined by the art-hating dystopia that surrounds you. Wears punk shirt? Yeah, I'm a punkhead. Exactly. She probably doesn't even know what band it's from. You collect yourself and escape from memory lane. Kara started talking about Hope, so you better listen. What do you call theories that sound too crazy? Isn't it just conspiracies? To me, Hope is as punk as it gets. A free spirit, fiercely independent, an eternal contrarian at odds with everything and everyone, developing her talents just because she finds it joyful. But God, does this girl need guidance? Not putting her talents to better use, rotting away, posting inane bullshit all the time. What a waste. I have built an environment specifically to develop her talents and let her become indispensable to our society, but she rejects it because of some idiot hang-ups. I don't expect you to change your mind about me just because I kept yapping and yapping. I just hope you keep my perspective in mind and serve as the voice of reason Hope really needs right now. Now that I've had my say, how about we put our girl back on? She taps on her phone again. A quiet buzz reappears in your right ear. You're bluffing, to Kara. This is a better safe than sorry kind of thing, isn't it? There's no one listening in. Maybe you're right, maybe you're not. She's 100 years too early to even think of accessing my comms. She's bullshitting you. Don't sell her anything but bullshit in return. Look who's back. Don't worry. She should have heard everything. I just wanted to spare you an annoying commentary track while I introduce myself. Excuse me for a second. One of Kara's guards approaches to show her something on his phone. Hope uses this direction to get you up to speed with how things are on her side. Yeah, for a second there, I was about to rage that the hack had gotten the better of us. But hey, go figure, she just wanted to take a piss at my Cheerios. The plan worked. I have a lot of data from her monologuing and some private sources, but the more we gather, the better. This display here says some more K letters could be useful. So don't beat yourself up about it if you fail, but if you get her to repeat something with K in it, that might improve our deepfake voice. Looks like Kara's done talking to the guard. Sorry about that. Looks like I've got to attend a sudden meeting with the Google representative shortly. Hope snorts. Not bragging though. By the way, does anyone but Hope know about this little rendezvous? Your patron, any other companion, or maybe the Nosferatu? The Nosferatu! Because his name is Kaiser, and you can say K a lot. So what if it's the Nosferatu? Kara's face takes on a hard expression. When she starts talking, she takes great pains not to say too much. Word of advice, kid. Kaiser's not in this business to be kind to strangers. Kaiser's not only got Kaiser's interests in mind and nothing else. He might not let it show, but he's always in a kill or be killed mindset. If you're doing business with him, keep that in mind at all times. Hope lets out a quiet, triumphant howl. Well, the screen tells me that should be all the K we need. Good job. Kara decides to change the subject. Anyway, no offense, but since Hope's not here, I really have to rush. Honestly, I feel a little insulted that she set up this meeting and didn't even bother to show up. Insulted and suspicious, her tone of voice betrays her. She might have some good instincts. Too bad she didn't trust them here. Still, out of respect for Langley, I decided to have this talk with you, to explain you why I'm an asset to the Camarilla, and to explain why the elders need Hope by my side. What the worm-brained hag here forgot to mention is the elders don't give a shit about me. Even if you don't see it my way now, I believe I've sown some seeds here that might sprout in the near future. Double Spiral looks out for people who look out for it, is all I'm saying. But before I leave, there's one thing I really wish I knew. Back when I knew her, she was a different person. Or different people, depending on how you look at it. Why does she fight against me so much? What's her motivation to resist so much? What's her motivation? Good question. She's never shared it with you. Answer whatever you want, but A, you better lie through your teeth. B, get her to say V a few times if you can. It might improve a few shortcomings in her deepfake software. What's your answer? Love, payback, retribution, survival. That has a V, right? Survival. Kara snorts. Spare me. If she just wanted to keep pulling through, she'd have a much better chance by my side. Pride or spite would be a far more believable an answer. Should have told me you either don't know or don't trust me. Survival. V times 2. Good attempt, at least. One of Kara's people erupts with a theatrical cough. Kara gestures at him to calm down. I need to go now. See you around, chat. She begins to walk down the stairs surrounded by her guards. When she's gone from before your eyes, Hope decides to summarize your mission. For the love of Christ, wish you could have kept her droning on for a little longer. Turns out the tea could use some improvements as well. Not complaining though, you did good. And don't worry, the data I have should be more than enough to generate a convincing deepfake. I just need to put in some more work. So I guess we'll get right to that right away. Enjoy the rest of your night. Drop my hardware at your haven when you get a chance. I'll let you know when we're ready to hit Kara's base of operations. Pray for my success, sweetie, and I might be done soon, maybe even tomorrow. And once we're done with her, we'll talk about how I can repay your generosity. Amen. The connection drops. It looks like that's all for now. You gaze at the sea of lights around you for the last time and then start making your way back to street level.
Oh hey, I'm Goober. Goober now. Super time. Ah.
Okay, rest time. You're walking down the street towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks will be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passerbys going about their business. Now to keep increasing your yolk, you just watch, stream, and the yolk will increase. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker, or a kindred thrall tailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car, ordinary cops, or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Following the queue of so many mortals around you, you stop at a street corner to casually survey your surroundings, as if you were trying to remember which turn to take. You look around ostensibly at street signs, but in reality to see if someone is really following you. Down the street where you came from, a crowd of young, drunk men argue loudly about baseball. There was an indistinct figure standing behind them, almost impossible to notice. A woman, probably. The men unconsciously move around her as they start to walk away, still mouthing off at each other. Whatever this is probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon, and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. That's no bueno. As you wake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. It's Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently. Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. He still looks kind of rough after your last brawl, but the damage to his face has clearly mended. His hands are out of his pockets though, a sign of goodwill. That's close enough. Let me guess, Kaiser sent you. Don't say his name out loud, idiot. Takes a look around just to make sure nobody's listening to your conversation. Yeah, he sent me. I'm supposed to give you this. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, and give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might just be a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro. When they tell you they don't have it, say you are a fidel servitor della famiglia G. Those exact words, and make sure you get the G right. You'll get a bottle. Just take it and leave by saying grazie. Don't ask how much it is or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie boy here and let him know. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. I think your boss was a letter guy. Is it electronic communication his old shtick? Yeah, well, some things are better done the old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter? You note the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in that alley over there, so come find me when you have the item, whatever it is. I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note, not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night, but curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. Giovanni? Actually, yeah, it could be. I didn't realize. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair, occupied by a man in a faux leather jacket with a slick, combed back hair. He's reading a newspaper but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup and then gets back to his broadsheet. Good evening. How can I help you? Oh, so you look like a goober. Yes, we are goober. We direct. I would like a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro, please. Let me check our stock. She seems to be looking through a database on the laptop sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment, sorry. Recite the phrase straight and simple. I'm a fidel servitor de la famiglia G. Ah, in that case, let me see if we have any in the back. Wait here, please. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a big cup of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. You remain silent and wait. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store open, and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Scusi, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle, and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? Well, well, I can't say why it's wine, of course. Quit starting. I'm on a schedule. I'll be taking this then. Why am I so hungry? Quit starting. I'm on schedule. Listen, I don't have time for this. I knew the phrase, right? Just hand it over. She gives her companion a quick look. He's on edge, his knuckles white on the chair, but he's just watching you. Of course. Here. Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking lot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got goods? Sure do. Cool. Stand by. Gotta make the call. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Hey boss, you gotta have it. Where do I point it to? Okay, yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away. He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. Willets Point. Half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking back down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out to one of those gashes in the asphalt, splashing in the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. Nom nom, I'm hungry. Nom nom baron. This is too perfect an opportunity to not take advantage of. She's walking to her car, ready to call it a night when you sneak up on her. She's far too tired to resist your strong hold and swift bite. You can taste the caffeine in her veins, smell the cheap cigarettes in her hair, the old cooking grease in her clothes. She passes out. You assault the closing note of a long day at work. You let her down gently and feel a pang of remorse. You pick up the car keys she dropped and place her in the driver's seat. You find an explanation for passing out like this, for sure. The bright lights of a car pulling down over the road illuminate you as you close the door. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time. The car doors open, but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. Egg model is the best. Egg model is the best. Do it. Just type goober mode. So, you pulled it off without a hitch then? Give it here. You hand the bottle over to the nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. I could see you're useful behind your charm with the subtlety of a battering ram. Good to know.
Yeah, goober mode. Yeah, we're back to goober mode. Thank you.
Here's Langley's precious address. He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Yeah, I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out, now. He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back onto the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what you want. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh, and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. He's a man from Elysium, the one with the glasses and good taste in suits. You didn't have the chance to talk to him the last time you saw him. Ah, Chad. So glad to see you. Tell me, did the two of you previously meet? The man doesn't wait for an answer. He approaches you with an energetic, almost dance-like step and puts out his hand. Thomas Arturo, I've heard about you. Pleasure, pleasure. Thomas is a great source of gossip and an excellent conversationalist. I also have the prince's ear, which is the primary reason dear Miss Langley wished to speak to me tonight. Good gossip, even coming from me, isn't nearly as valued. Sad. Sophie is taken back by the man's direct comment, but smiles politely. The awkward atmosphere is broken again by the guest's grating laugh. I kid, of course, I kid. Well, I was about to leave anyway, so I'll leave you two to it. Good night, Sophie. Chat, Greggy boy. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The doors close. What's his deal? Same as everyone's. Position, power, influence. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and inquire what I asked for? Yeah, I had to do another job for him first. But the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he would give me his card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. I had to retrieve a bottle for him. It made me go on an entirely separate escapade to retrieve a bottle of wine from a store in Nolita. I had to use code phrases and whatnot. Wine shop. Code phrases. A degenerate pest. She's visibly agitated, but calms down and smiles at you. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure that whatever Kaiser had you to, it'll blow over. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw in Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes, excellent. I need to call him some favors. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear charge. I will contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside, and you are left to do with the rest of the night's hours as you like. Okay, let me drink some water. Drink some water. Drink. Okay, there's this. Which one's new? Somebody's watching me. I think we can do that, and then we can go for Hope Sting. Or should we go for Hope Sting now? I think we can go for Hope Sting now. Then we can do the somebody's watching me. And do for Hope Sting now. Hope's poorly scribbled message reaches you in your haven. Within an unmarked envelope, you find a barely legible address you're supposed to reach and the hour you're expected to arrive there. This is it then, the night of the final showdown. You check the clock. There's way more than enough time to comfortably reach your destination. But you decide to take a drive earlier, just in case. The ride is uneventful, but becomes more and more tense as it goes on. The gravity of the situation starts getting to you. You're about to set out on an operation against a key New York City figure, well connected with both human and vampire elites. What if his security overwhelms you? How will the council react to your raid? You can only trust that Hope has thought it all through. She doesn't seem like the type who'd attempt a suicidal mission, which isn't something you typically say about a person who regularly inflicts violence on herself in front of camera. When you arrive at your destination, you find yourself in front of a building with a double spiral logo on it. This must be Montgomery's headquarters then. You look around the street and notice an obnoxiously lavender Mazda car parked nearby. Even though you've never seen it before, you might have an idea who it belongs to. You park your own car at a distance from the double spiral building and approach the Mazda. A familiar figure is behind the wheel, holding a smartphone in her hand. You knock on the window. She opens a window without turning her eyes from the device. Wow, you're early. Good evening. Yes, good evening for a glorious death. She lets a dead silence linger in the air for 10 seconds. Then she stops typing, diverts her eyes from the screen, gives you a melancholic stare, and winks. Psych. God damn it. Come on, what's with that face? I suffer from too much FOMO to let myself die. I've got accounts to run, notifications to check. Plus no way in hell I'd allow Montgomery the satisfaction of a draw. We're going there to secure a flawless victory. No doubt and wait, let's go. She gets out of the car and motions you to walk with her. Anywho, glad you managed to make sense of my ugly scribbles. I totally forgot how exhausting it is to write by hand. Still not as exhausting as having to deliver messages personally to someone's door. Next time you meet Langley, ask her to get you a flip phone or something, okay? You reach the front of the building. We're about to burn this shit all to the ground. What's the plan? I wouldn't mind if you let me in on your plan this time. Oh, Chad, baby. One would think that by now you know I'm a need-to-know basis kind of gal. But luckily, there's not much of a plan to talk about. You've done all the hard work during your meeting with Kara. You see, our job is easy. We need to get in, destroy the server containing all the double spiral research, and walk out. No spectacle, no dramatic showdowns. Now, I know exactly what you're gonna say. But wait, Hope, if this data is so priceless, shouldn't she have external backups? Is Kara a complete dunce? Excellent question, my neonate friend. The answer is yes, she's a dunce. But aside from numerous negative qualities, she also has a positive one. She's totally paranoid. She used to be a naive dumbass who wouldn't even cover up her laptop camera, but she lost trust in all external companies after a little cyber espionage incident. She is obsessed with not uploading her data anywhere online. Now she only has one physical backup, hidden deeper inside their headquarters. Nobody has an idea of where it might be, but I do. Normally, I'd never be able to reach the place. Double Spiral is like an underground base. The walls and doors are reinforced, both against the living and the dead. But the answer to this problem is simple. We only need Kara to lend us her voice so that we can override all of the security measures and get to the heart of the facility. What do you say, Kara? Will you help your girl out for the old time's sake? Hope quickly writes something down on her phone. A few seconds later, a nearly perfect imitation of Kara Montgomery's voice escapes her speaker. You know it. Let's butch this bridge open. Wow, the sound quality is incredible and the voice sounds only the teeniest bit off. Whatever she paid for that tech, it was worth it. Oh, and if you're afraid of the consequences from the Camarilla, don't be. I'm assuming full responsibility and my ass is covered. I've got some favors to collect and to offer. Besides, Kara's a goddamn snake and everyone knows it. No important player will miss her influence. They were only tolerating her in case she hit it big with her attack. It's all about cash and abundance. That's a bitch when you die. And then you die. Some parts sound a tiny bit too robotic. Could there be a pattern there? Too bad she won't ever get the chance to succeed. So without further ado, shall we? Hope starts marching towards the revolving door. You close your eyes, make an effort to sharpen your senses, and follow the Malkavian into the lobby of the double spiral building. There is a sole security guard at the entrance. He raises his voice to ask about your business, but is stopped short by Hope's commanding voice. No need, we're expected. The man looks lost and disoriented for a moment, then the gears in his head slowly begin to turn, and he nods his head silently, opening a gate leading to the elevators. Hope heads into one of them, and you follow. She presses a button, and the car starts heading to the lowest floor. Eventually, the doors open. Welcome to Kara Montgomery's Deadly Dungeons, Chad. What appear before your eyes are the dimly lit corridors of an IT office, empty and silent. The air is stiff and dusty, and there's a sharp, rotten stench in the air that you're unable to identify. The menacing atmosphere makes it hard to recognize at first, but this looks like an active workplace. It really is a dungeon, although a corporate one, where people are cheated of life. This environment feels alien to you, but you know people who have relinquished the pretenses of being artists and started calling themselves content generators. That's how you imagine their workplaces. Let's just get it to the first door and test my little Kara out. You follow her until you reach the end of the corridor. There you encounter an expensive-looking reinforced door with voice controls on the side. Hope pushes a button. A robotic voice comes out of the speaker. Semiotics. Seriously? Come on. Hope types the word into her phone and lets 𝑺𝒐𝒂𝒎 repeat the word. Semiotics. A sound rings out, reminiscent of cues that TV quiz shows used to let contestant know he gave a wrong answer. Verification error. Please try again. Why you not the goober? There is no goober energy. Because goober mode ended. Goober mode only lasts for 10 minutes. But I think you get more points in the 10 minutes than it takes to summon goober anyway. You give Hope a nervous look. She bites her lip and presses the button again. Pepper reel. Tap 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 tap. Pepper reel. Access granted. The doors slowly open. You notice your companion is wearing a sour expression. Looks like the tech isn't quite perfect. At least the password seems randomized, so we can try and brute force our way in, unless the system locks us out after a few failed attempts. She shakes her head and turns to you, her lips attempting to approximate a sincere smile. Well, we can only hope that the data you've collected is enough. Into the beast mall we go. She marches into the room, and you walk in right after her. The doors lock behind you with a loud thud. It's a wide-open office. It would be as murky as the corridor you just left if it wasn't for the rows of monitors illuminating the space. A shadowy figure stares at every screen in the room. Kara's voice plays from Hope's speaker. Behold, this is where the magic happens. A family of driven folks hungry for success, always taking the bull by the horns, building a high-performance culture together. None of the figures raise their heads. They're too busy programming, organizing spreadsheets, and typing in endless strings of text. What's wrong with them? Don't worry. They're likely just a bunch of ghouls and whatnot. Hardworking, conditioned, tireless, low maintenance, kinda dumb, perfect workers. Probably won't leave the seats unless we make them, but let's not. We've got more important things to do, like destroying a few years' worth of their work. The figures don't stop pounding away on their keyboards. In fact, they don't react to our words at all. Alrighty, so do we go straight to the server room, or do you want to check one of the side rooms first? Your call. I prefer to wrap things up as fast as possible. But hey, little Kara is here with us thanks to the data you've gathered. You betcha. If you think you can use her voice for something useful, hey, feel free to do it. You look around and think how to respond. The door looks curious. Let's go. Actually, let's try this door. You approach the door with a huge sign saying staff only. Next to it, you spot familiar voice controls. Hope nods at you and pushes the button. Vaudeville. Hope taps the screen of their phone a few times and puts the speaker next to the door's microphone. Vaudeville. Verification error. Access denied. You push the button again. Vaudeville. Looks like this one doesn't have a randomizer built in. Won't do us any good to keep trying. The capital wins once again. Let's move on, comrade. For a second, you wonder if there's anything you could have done to succeed here. Then you shrug your shoulders and follow Hope out of the room. Ah, sucks. Could have gone in if we had the V sounds. Another depressing corridor reeking of who knows what. You expect Hope to walk to the very end again, but this time she stops halfway and starts mumbling under her breath. Wait, was it this door or... Don't tell me she moved things around. It looks like she's been here before. Not a surprise in itself, but she gives off an impression of a person who used to know the entire layout of the building very well. After a brief reflection, Hope approaches a door a few feet away and pushes the button next to it. Apocalypse. Well, that's cheering. Apocalypse. Access granted. You walk inside. Have you ever eaten a tomato like an apple? I have. I bought like raw tomato and I cut it up like an apple. At first glance, this office looks very similar to the last one you entered. Rows of screens and rows of listless silhouettes in front of them. However, Hope quickly spots a difference. Target confirmed. Moving to data room. There's a room with endless machines at the back of the open space. Hope walks in, takes out some hardware out of a bag she's carrying, and begins the process of removing the data. Should have invested in SSD, sis. Time to bust out my portable degosser. She turns to you. This'll take a good minute. I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve. If you find something that interests you, let me know. Should you wait near her or take a look around? Yeah, take a look around. Might find something interesting. Have fun. Dear God in heaven, I know I will. Having dinner with a tomato? Eating our log of calorific food and soda. Well, tomato will be good for you. You start walking around. For a while, you notice nothing but errors start popping up on the screens here and there. The ghouls try to fight against them, but quickly realize it's futile and surrender. Eventually, you find a door of voice controls. You call up to Hope. She pauses her work for a second and approaches you. This door, huh? Alright, let's give it a shot. You press the button. Canoeing kayak. You watch over Hope's shoulder as she types the password with an incredible speed into a homemade-looking app. Then Kara's voice sounds out. Canoeing kayak. Access granted. Alright, you know where to find me. She gets back to her data as you start exploring. Well, not that there's much to explore, it's more like a closet. Inside, you find all sorts of bizarre items scattered around the shelves. Some old newspapers, a Windows 95 for Dummies book, a 4GB MP3 player, a hookah, biography of Amy Whitehouse. Finally, you'll find a little box marked with a smiley face. When you open, you're surprised to see something you recognize. A bunch of post-it notes with hand drawings depicting tattoo patterns that can be seen on Hope's body. You leave the closet and go back to the data room. There, you wordlessly pass the box to Hope. At first, she seems annoyed to be dragged away from work, but when she notices the post-it notes, her eyes become dinner plates. You found those in that closet. You nod and look at her expectantly. She takes a deep sigh, closes the box, and puts it in her bag. Clara and I have history. A pregnant pause. Don't expect me to lay it on out here. It's not something I'm going to revisit anytime soon. But I'm very, very grateful you gave this box to me. You don't even know how much. She tries to find the right words to express something, but after some consideration, she just hand waves it away. Alright, we'll bond, reminisce, and get high another time. Now we've got a job to finish. She gets back to her hardware. You think she's completely absorbed in her work again, but then quickly notice she's doing her best to have her back facing you at all times. A while passes. Finally, you hear a triumphant yell. All done, baby. Looks like those boys are finally going to get a break. You realize that the constant silent rhythm of mechanical keyboards has stopped, The workers are all idling, slumped over their desks, completely resigned to the fact that their raison d'etre has disappeared. Hope hurriedly collects her hardware and motions you to follow after her. Alright, we're almost done. Now we just need to take care of the backups and we can get the hell away from here. You take a last glance at the ghouls and follow her steps. Yet another corridor, hardly discernible from the previous ones. This is a giant underground complex. How much money has Montgomery spent on it? Hope looks around, frowning, mumbling something indecipherable. Eventually, she points it in front of her. There, this is where she must keep the backups. It's a sturdy metal door unlike any other in this building. Right next to it, however, is a voice-based security system you know pretty well by now. Please, 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 just no last-second surprises. She hesitates to do it, but eventually she pushes the button. Eternal return. Hope dutifully types down the term on her phone. Eternal return. Access denied. Please try again. Hope hisses under her breath. This time, you push the button. Double spiral. Tap, tap, tap. The double spiral. You feel like time is frozen. For whatever reason, it takes longer than usual for the speaker to deliver the verdict. Access granted. What a relief. The metal doors grind loudly as they invite you in. This time, you walk in first and Hope follows. Wait a minute. You recognize this place. It shouldn't be here, but there's no two ways about it. This is Hope's haven. The same bed, same decorations, same ambiance. It's a lot more dusty, but the backups are in the back. I'll just get them. She seems a little sheepish as she approaches the double spiral devices and unpacks her own hardware to take care of them. You take in your surroundings. We'll just keep quiet. Hope keeps quiet as well, working diligently on destroying her rival's life. She makes it obvious she doesn't want to re-examine her past. You rest against the bed, quietly watching Hope's technological wizardry and wondering about her past relationship with Kara for who knows how long. Every second you spend here, you become more impatient to get out. Eventually, the devices surrounding the double spiral backup start disappearing into the bag they were taken out of. Looks like the process is nearing completion. You decide to approach the door before it does. However, before you even make a move, the doors begin to make a grinding noise. You freeze up, watching them open. Behind them stands the very person you were afraid would appear. That's the punk t-shirt you hoped you would avoid seeing tonight. Jesus fucking Christ almighty. Hope raises her head and their eyes meet. Both of their faces momentarily turn to stone. Oh. You pick out any emotion from their stares and you'd probably be right. An unbearable tension fills the room as nobody wants to make the first move. Eventually, it's Hope who decides to break the stalemate by loudly pressing the enter button on her laptop and immediately dropping it into her bag. You doubt it's anything more than a provocation, the Malkavian letting her opponent know she won. But it works. The noise makes Montgomery snap out of her stupor. You psycho. You fucking demented vindictive psycho. The air turns thick with murderous intent. Hi. Hope pretends she hasn't noticed. Kara's bloodthirst becomes palpable. You were supposed to be on the other side of the city right now, at the meeting. I'm notified about every failed voice identification attempt. I got back here, expecting to find some idiot still trying to make their way through the front. She looks around. But I never expected. Just how? Hope reluctantly types something down on her phone. I'm the CEO of Double Spiral and I endorse wrecking my shit. Kara grimaces at the sound of her own voice and quickly connects the dots. You fucking gremlin. How did you get your hands on that kind of tech? Even I. Company secret. Hope's provoking her, no two ways about it. Kara knows it, so she's trying to keep it cool. I built this paradise for you. For us. For yourself and nobody else. What happened to the Hope I used to know? She can't come to the phone right now. She's dead. I regret the day I let you into my life. Stop lying to yourself, Kara. You only regret the day you let me out of my life. Shouldn't have let your mask slip, honey. A snappish response almost escapes Kara's mouth, but she manages to stop herself before letting the discussion devolve into a childish spat. Just tell me there's a copy of my data you haven't ruined, and I'll let you out of here alive. She gives you a hateful look. Both of you. Hope tilts her head and flashes an evil ear-to-ear grin. Not a single bit of data remains. More than a decade of your work, down the drain. Welcome to the worst night of your life since the .com crash, Miss Montgomery. Kara looks as if a stake was just driven through her heart. She starts to collapse, sliding down against it all, like she was sinking deeper and deeper into her personal hell. Hope just stares at her torment, wearing an indecipherable expression, waiting for her rival to reach the floor. And then she does, and there, at the lowest point of her life, she finds something unexpected. I never, ever wanted to do this. This is not me.
Hello, and thanks for whoever gifted the membership. Welcome, Paladin. How are you?
Her voice sounds completely different. But if there's only one way out of this mess, I'm going to take it. I'm going to get my data back. Hope looks confused for a second, then an understanding dawns on her. Come on, Kara. You wouldn't dare. You started this game. Now accept your loss. The game isn't over until all players are out of moves, honey. Bearing your fangs now, there's two of us against one, even if you commit the sin of diablerie. The last time something like this happened to me, I was ready to die. I think I'll take my chances. It's not like I haven't dreamed about feeling my fangs inside you for a long, long time. Oh, so you want to give me this one victory, prove once and for all I was right. It was never about me, but all with the stupid garbage in my head. A victory. Please, victories are material. They aren't like your little online arguments. She's serious about this, chat. She wants to devour me as a whole, sacrifice her humanity in exchange for access to my soul and everything I know. Stay away, chat. You want money, data, domain privileges, a position in double spiral, anything you want, you can get if you just look the other way. Don't listen to this shit. The moment the prince finds out, it's final death for. And Kara runs, her moves resembling a beast more than human, immediately closing the distance to Hope. Then she jumps at the Malkavian, like a wild animal hunting her prey. Hope instinctively attempts to defend herself, but is immediately overwhelmed. Laying on the ground, she looks like a deer in the headlights. Kara, on the other hand, looks like a bear ready to maul its victim. If you want to react, you need to do it now. Look around. Wait. There's no point in just rushing in blindly. Kara's like a feral animal right now. You don't wrestle with those. You use tools to overwhelm them. You look at Hope's bag. Could any of her devices help? No way in hell. Nkada. You look at the bed, the pillows, the canopy, hooks hanging down from the ceiling. Bingo. You grab one of the hooks and yank the chain. It's long enough for your idea to work. You run up to Kara, who's about to maul Hope like a wild animal. Then you stab her with all your strength. The hook gets deep underneath her skin. Kara yells, but there's more surprise and pain in her voice. You quickly wrap the chain around her a few times, then you step back and start pulling it with all your strength. Kara's taken by surprise. Still not understanding what's going on, she loses her balance and gives her victim a chance to escape. Hope takes it. Still dazed, she takes a second to understand the situation, but when she does, she runs up to you and starts pulling the chain with you. Ugh. You never handle her alone, but Hope displays surprising strength while pulling the chain. A minute later, she's hanging above the floor like a butcher's carcass. The end of the hook is stuck in her chest, and it's sinking deeper as she struggles. However, she's flailing so wildly she might free herself before it puts her out of commission. Ugh. You use one hand to desperately search for something that can help you under the bed. Belts, handcuffs, a whip, a giant cattle prod. You have no time to act bemusely. You put it to her head and turn it on. The device must be modified. The power current is so powerful, it causes scarring almost immediately. She's getting weaker and weaker. It takes Kara a while to accept defeat, but eventually she does. Her body seemingly lifeless, her head hanging down. She looks like a grotesque portrait of defeat. The hook must have reached her heart. It takes Hope a long time to collect herself. Eventually, she manages to speak up. Guess we've gotten up to this point, huh? Just like Kara before, Hope starts to talk in a completely different way than she usually does. You have a bad feeling about this. You want to add my data to yours? You know, I can grant your wish, except not the way you've imagined it. Hope starts mumbling and circling around Kara. For the first time since you met her, she acts like she doesn't have her phone in her hand. There's violent aura. The Malkavian looks deeply into your eyes, and she knows you know that what she's tempted to do. You silently beg for her not to do it. It doesn't feel right. She makes her decision. She smiles beatifically, and it feels purposefully fake. Be my witness. I haven't harmed her. You left her here with me, and you have no idea what happened next. Her voice is still changed from what you're used to. She's not having fun. She's driven by malice. I have disabled security, so you're free to leave now. Call me whenever you need me. I'm a part of your coterie now, so I'll repay my debts or whatever. You give her a suspicious glare. It doesn't faze her, though. I've still got some unfinished business here. She turns to Kara's listless body. A puppet is dangling sadly by a single thread. It'd be smart of you to leave. Her tone makes it clear she's not willing to discuss anything. Your relationship is strictly professional. You sigh, shrug your shoulders, and hound out the way you came from. The lights of New York welcome you above ground. See you soon, Hope. Hope you don't get into trouble. You try to celebrate the new addition to your coterie, but Kara's face appears before your eyes over and over again, making your victory bittersweet. Damn, she killed someone. She moided. Ooh, there's a new one. A nosy reporter. Somebody's watching you part 1. Or Faith and Myth part 2. What day are we on? How do we save? Let's save. Save and exit. And then reload it. Oh, okay, we're on day 8. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm tempted to go for one of these, but at the same time, I think we need to start one of the others, or else we might not have enough time. So, not sure. I don't really want to go for Jezebel's child, though. I kind of like Gumshoe in the dark. I know it's a kind of magic. Might be good too. I guess it doesn't really matter. Either 𝑧𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 or Tremere or Gangrel. I think we can go for Tremere, I guess. Probably go for Tremere. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end here either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tombs. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, stretching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pursed lip curves into an awkward smile. Is Agathon in? I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store, Inside, as you expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind a curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is 𝑺𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍💔, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the 5 Boroughs. You are Chad, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight, otherwise it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? High Regent sounds important. Of the Chantry of the 5 Boroughs, that's quite a mouthful. It might sound fancy, but that's because there's a well-established tradition behind it, one you'd be wise not to ridicule. Some might take offense, me, for one. What is that you're here for? I heard good things about Agathon. I thought I'd drop in and see how much of it was true. Appealing to our vanity. How very original. You better step up your game, fledgling, or New York will eat you right up. Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Let me introduce myself. My name is Chad. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. Or, I could assist you in your work. I can be quite helpful, knowing I can count on someone to return the favor. Is that right? He seems to consider it, and turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? Aisling looks at you with an area of a sign of emotion. I believe you are more than capable of carrying out your task, my child. I do not think any assistance will be necessary. Oddly enough, he seems somewhat disappointed. Your confidence in me is appreciated, High Regent. It has been earned. So let's settle then. I would kindly ask that you leave, Fledgling. We have many matters to discuss, matters not meant for undiscerning ears. Both of the warlocks look at you expectantly. Apologies for any inconvenience I may have caused you. Good luck with your work. You make your way downstairs. As you pass the blonde, who now seems to be napping behind her desk, Agathon reappears behind you. Wait, come back up for a minute. Somewhat confused, you follow him back to the workshop. Aisling is leaning against a wall, watching you both with a keen eye. Listen, I tend to work alone. I'm not used to socializing, but... He hesitates for a while. When he speaks again, it almost comes out as a mumble. I could use some help tonight. Would you be interested in teaming up? Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what is it you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I've been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea on where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. Alright, who's the missing person? Who is she? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people are in the habit of making things simple. Placing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Yes, let's go. Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the lower east side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. We'll keep quiet. You decide not to disturb his thoughts, and are surprised that it's him who breaks the silence as you're about halfway over the East River. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York. You see me up specifically. Why? Sophie spoke highly of you. But when Sophie spoke highly of you, she gave me a short list of people to meet. You want it. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying, as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour to focus, and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens, and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening, I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. We're location scouting. Hey, we're not your regular customers. In fact, we're location scouting for a movie. We'll just take a quick look around and we're gone. No, I'm sorry, we are not interested in being featured in a movie. I will have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith and Wollensky or the 31st Club. It's fine, we can come in. We'll use your presence. Hey, it's all good, we can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby, it won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course, not a problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual, and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow. Lots of old, expensive-looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Looks like she's gone. A flash of fury sparks in his eyes. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturb me. Understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a barbed stool and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes, the deep red, thick pate. In life, you had found its stomach churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing next. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all the more a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin whiffs of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left on devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before you can take a close look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, seeing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a ride at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance. You seem capable enough. Thanks, I guess. I take that's your way of showering me with praise? You could swear you just made him smile. You did fine. Once you really impress me, I'll be sure to let you know. It doesn't take you long to reach the warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts. Hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his so stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Okay. Let's go for the religious one. 𝒏𝒏𝒐 wants to meet you again at the cathedral. You wonder whether that mysterious priest will be there. You started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with 𝒏𝒏𝒏. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When 𝒏𝒏𝒏 mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. It doesn't seem to be very common though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you wanted to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or a nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way, yet you've become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark, acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church had been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting 𝒏𝒏𝒏 alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral, in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 nods as you sit next to him in the pew. I have so many questions. Thought about our last meeting? There are so many questions and I'm not sure where I can find the answers. I can tell you some things, but you'll grow dissatisfied with me and want to find answers of your own. That quest will never end. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too. This is kindred culture. Even if we don't believe, this is kindred culture. Our shared stories about where we came from, right? That's one way to look at it. All religions can be reduced to cultural myths if you are so inclined. Personally, I think the reality of our condition proves that this is more than myth. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 looks around reflexively to make sure nobody's listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral and they don't seem to be interested in two loners murmuring to each other in their front pew. It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselah still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. Surely something was written down before the masquerade was established. Of course, the Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. If you have a chance, I recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night shunned by humanity and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's inhuman inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immoral shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third, and the vampires started running amok. What? Vampires ruled openly over humans? Yes, according to the stories, Cain was a benevolent and just ruler, using his vast knowledge to bring a new age of prosperity. Of course, those stories were written by vampires. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just. There are people moving in the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. As Benoit goes on, your undead senses detect something that deviates from the normal hubbub of devout mortals, cathedral workers, and tourists. You hear the squeaking wheels of an old wheelchair that hasn't been taken out too often. We've been doing this for 20 years, and still you post stuff like this, Michael. Why did you bring your sister? We're on the field. This is no place for the disabled. The voice is that of an older man, Midwestern. He sounds exasperated, as if he was rehashing an argument for the 100th time. She wanted to come. She doesn't get out of the house very often. Besides, you should be grateful, Bobby. We would have never found our new partners without her. The second voice belonged to an old man too. It's more intense and still holds echoes of a Russian accent. Yes, because she talked about vampires online. You got your door busted in by the FBI, as I remember. We did, sure, but we cleared the misunderstanding and our consultants. So quit your griping. Bobby, Michael, play nice. You sound like an old couple. The third voice has a heavier Russian accent and belongs to an older woman. All three have clearly known each other for a long time. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he is an exceptional man. Yeah, exceptional, but he doesn't like moles. You nudge Benoit and discreetly point out the three people approaching you along the cathedral's central aisle. He nods in understanding. This is bad news, whoever these three are. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. Move discreetly to the side. Better not call attention to yourself. You decide to move to the side of the cathedral and pretend to pray in an altar. You walk casually towards the side, away from the three approaching mortals. You feel their eyes boring into your back, but you force yourself to be cool. Benoit is nowhere to be seen. You blinked, and he disappeared in a burst of speed. You're worried it was too conspicuous, but maybe the mortals miss it. You pretend to admire the architecture for a while before glancing back at the trio. They have settled at the exact spot you just occupied, apparently waiting for something, and conversing in hushed tones. Once you're sure their attention is elsewhere, you start briskly walking down the side aisle towards the exit. That was a close call. Who were those three? Do you recognize them? I might have. I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something. There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. My dad went out for milk. Is that common among the kindred? Yes, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's child, and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in the questions of the spirit. You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all the talk about Cain and the first city, you forgot about it. Now the only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. That's not cool, man. Do that again, I'll make sure you regret it. You'll get over it. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. Okay, we rest. 𝒂𝒎𝒆 𝒂𝒂𝒎, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect to see him already inside, or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through. A secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on this shelf. Obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit, next to all this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. Kind of place as self-professed hermits entune themselves into supper. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familiar fight or flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If 𝒂𝒎𝒆 is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess. You strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. ... Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next, that endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade, a rebuff, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. ... As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla will be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see. But that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts, tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I used to operate. And so I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for a good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone but constantly lied to about everyone's paths and motivations, even if my failure to solve a mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice, a voice belonging to someone who had once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder, just like conspiracies between two unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall, a boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coteries so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Why are you here? This monologue has gone on for long enough. Why are you here? What is this about? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. 𝒂𝒎 notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. What? A better rapport? The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of the New York City community, and as long as you're a part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who's she talking about? Is it Sophie? 𝒂𝒎 shakes his head. Sophie's fine. She's plotting something big. I know it, and she knows I know it. But she's treading carefully, as she should. No, they're not a major player. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of refreshed memories. Ooh, that is our sister, Emma. The only person who's kept you hanging on through all these years. The only person you have in your corner in your never-ending fight against the world. You've kept your shit together so far. Try not to think about her until you got everything sorted out, but seeing her face brings a lump to your throat. You look up at 𝒂𝒎, expecting answers. I'll be frank. At first, I thought you were a total commercial failure, someone destined to eventually disappear from the streets of New York without a trace, or one so called to care. But it looks like your sister is the best guardian one can ask for. Lots of friends in high places, and lots of favors to collect. The word is, she'll do anything to get you back. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent, which means your sister must be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you to meet tomorrow, so you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Of course he's invested in being kind to you, or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. Oh, damn it. You need to think it through. For a long time, you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, trying to come up with lies that will convince the only person who's ever seen the real you.
Okay, that's gonna be difficult. Alright. But first, we can do the agathon thing again. You know what to expect when you return to the small bookstore serving as Agathon's haven. The cacophony of occult imagery assaults you from the book covers displayed on the window, but under the fake facade there's something real. This time, the Buddhas and the satanic Bibles of the storefront seem almost funny, or perhaps you've just started to tune into the dry humor of the Ystromeer. Just as you're starting to ring the doorbell, the door opens and Agathon storms out. You step aside just in time to avoid having him stumble into you. Chat, what are you doing here? I came to help you. Like last time. Okay, fine, you're right, follow me. As he turns to go, Agathon almost looks pleased that you're here. Agathon walks to his car with you in tow. It didn't occur to you last time, but it's a surprisingly pedestrian vehicle, an aging mid-sized family sedan. You imagine what it would look like with a baby seat in the back. Opening the door on the driver's side, Agathon notices your look. Agathon is such a sweetheart. For that, yeah, Agathon's surprisingly nice compared to everyone else. Laugh all you want, but it's inconspicuous and practical. You sit in the car and Agathon starts driving in his usual careful style. At least you'll never be stopped by traffic cops. It seems Agathon is not interested in small talk. Beautiful night we have. It's not too bad, me and Kindred. Agathon turns slowly to look at you, both hands on the wheel in exactly the same position you remember a driving instructor demonstrated to you long ago. Please don't attempt to make small talk. I don't care whether the night is beautiful or miserable. The true energies shaping our world are invisible anyway. You exit Manhattan over the Brooklyn Bridge and soon reach the site of the nightclub that seemed to be your destination. It's on the riverfront, a converted former warehouse. After Agathon parks the car, it's time for you to enter the nightclub. You glance at the Tremere, evaluating him. It's obvious it's not his kind of space. It's not your kind of space, not exactly, but you've probably been here and just forgotten it. For a bunch of perennially penniless archetypes, your friends were always good at trawling through every gutter in search of a high. There's a good chance the research notes are here. Let's go. Let's don't waste any time. Excellent. There's a line into the club. It looks like a popular spot if, based on the crowd, this is not exactly a place for supermodels and celebrities. Wait in line. You join the line with Agathon. He looks uncomfortable, as if he had hoped that you could somehow get in faster. Let's not forget the masquerade. It's better we play it cool, not risk of blowing our cover. Just two clubgoers waiting in line. Fine, you're right. Let's not make a spectacle of ourselves. You stand in line for 15 minutes and eventually get past the bouncer and step inside. The music beats down on you, bringing with it memories of a human existence. The first time you went dancing with your friends, when you flirted with someone on the dance floor. This time it's different. You're a predator and everyone around you is prey, tightly packed twitching sacks of blood and tissue. You sense the emotions all around you, blood tinted with happiness, lust, rage, jealousy, love, a buffet of sensations. Focus, keep an eye out for trouble while I look for what we came to find. You nod and follow Agathon through the throng, trying to ignore all the warmth, flesh, and circulating blood around you. Yeah, I'm a drink. You decide that the opportunity to feed has been handed to you, and it would be churlish to refuse. A young Latino man is dancing close to a beautiful, drugged-out girl. She takes his face in her hands and kisses him on the mouth. You slide close to them and sink your teeth into the man's neck. He moans from the pleasure of the kiss, and the girl assumes it's because of her. You check to see that nobody's watching, and lick the wound closed before disengaging and returning to look for Agathon. You find a young, intense woman pointing at a finger at his face. Agathon, you traitor, don't you dare stand between me and what's mine. You look at the woman in surprise. Her appearance stands in contrast with the anger in her words. Juno, you know Aisling will not let you leave with the notes. Perhaps she won't let you leave at all. Juno pulls close to Agathon's face and stage whispers loudly enough for you to hear her over the music. You're still so brainwashed that you care about what 𝑺𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 wants. I'm done jumping through her hoops. I don't know what I saw in you, Agathon. You're such a lapdog. Let's not forget the masquerade, everybody. Sure want to talk about this in the middle of a dance floor?
Do I look like I care about the fucking masquerade? You look at Juno in genuine shock. From Sophie, you've understood the masquerade is universal among the kindred. Juno, you don't mean that. You're not suicidal. Fucking watch me. Juno, please. Juno steps back, suddenly cold. Ignoring the people dancing all around, she stares hard at Agathon. The past is past. The traditions are dead to me. You won't stop me, Agathon. I'll make sure of that here and now. You know I have the power. No, Juno, please. Agathon sounds panicked. He's not worried about his own survival, but of the possibility that Juno is going to unleash a genuine masquerade breach. I'm gonna hit her. You step towards Juno and punch her in the face as hard as you can. Her nose flattens and she grunts in pain as her body crashes into the people dancing behind her. In a few short seconds, you've caused a general panic in the nightclub. People pick themselves up onto the floor and scream, try to push their way outside. The music stops and the lights come on. Suddenly, you're blinking in the cold, white halogen light. A young man crawls away on all fours. Juno stands up. That was a mistake. You expect Juno to create mystical blood magic, so just hit you back with her fists. You're caught flat-footed when she steps up and kisses you right on the mouth. You feel something trickling from her mouth into yours. It should be blood. It's not. Rancid, burning, choking, Juno's blood has become a toxin that scorches you from the inside. In a panic, you look for Agathon for help, only to discover that he's gone. You try to croak out words as Juno touches you on the chest, smiling like the predator she is. You feel a sudden pang of hunger, as if the blood inside you has become sour and unusable. Juno flies across the room and crashes into a wall. You advance toward her slowly as she stands awkwardly with what looks like a skull fracture. Vampire kinky in every media. I know, but I think she just turned our insides to vomit. Your blow would have killed a human. Juno looks at you one more time before running into the crowd. We're done here. Let's go. You're startled by Agathon's sudden appearance. He skipped the fight, but now he's back. This could be a masquerade breach. Let's hope that the crowd is too drunk to supply details later. You try to mend the damage Juno inflicted on you, but you're hungry and something is resisting you, as if the malign influence of Juno's magic persists in your body. You glance at Agathon warily. Does he command similar powers? Outside, you walk to Agathon's car and drive back over to Brooklyn Bridge to Manhattan, heading for Agathon's haven. Juno mentions some very personal things. I trust your discretion in not discussing those things with Aisling. Yes, you can trust me. Your love life is your business. Thank you. After a while, you reach Agathon's haven and he parks the car. You walk to the occult bookstore and Agathon invites you inside. The smell of incense assaults you as before, making you grateful you don't have to breathe. You follow Agathon upstairs to find Aisling Sturbridge in an armchair reading an old book. She puts a bookmark in place as you come in. You were successful, I hope. No, I'm sorry. The notes were there at some point, but not anymore. That's a shame. I hope you don't run out of time. How did Sophie's little protege do? Oh, hello, Briar. Welcome. Are you winning? We got our insides turned into vomit. As in, the blood that we drank is no longer blood. I think we puked it up. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Dropping in to say hi. Alright, thank you. Thank you for coming to say hi. Agathon turns to look at you. These fledglings come and go. Let's see after a few years. Very true. I'll have to ask Sophie why she took this one in. She must have a reason. We met Juno. Fortunately, she couldn't find the notes either. That's interesting. The High Regent turns to look at you. What was your impression of Juno, Fletching? She was very angry. I don't know what you people did to her, but she's pissed. What we did? Careful now, Fledgling. She made her own choices, bad as they were. Anyway, I have things to discuss with Agathon. Run along now. You leave the occult bookstore, the cheesy and mystical music still in your ears as you walk away. You wonder about what happened with Juno. Why is she so anxious to leave her clan? Did she really do that? Could you leave Sophie's service if you wanted to? Did I mess things up? Does this mean I can't continue that quest anymore? Knock knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling? You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nonetheless. Excellent. Stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember, down to the rearview mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. And let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you know very well. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that will violate the masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Do treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. Found yourself at a crossroads. Decide to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable. The rent is too high. They've heard it all. However, you won't leave for good without saying farewell to the only person who cared. He gives you a compassionate stare. It's gonna leave a scar, boy. But a true artist knows those are not something to hide, but to display with pride. You're a fresh corpse. People you meet can still leave a mark on you. One night, a long time from now, you'll realize you miss collecting new wounds. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of your way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you are worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place. It's right next to the exhibition space, the one where you met your future sire. This is where you saw Emma for the last time. This is where they last saw poor Chad. Who knows whatever might have happened to him. That's what your sister is trying to find out. I took the liberty of messaging her in your stead. She's up there, waiting for you to come and explain yourself. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the exhibition space. The elevator ride up doesn't seem to end. After what feels like 5 hours, but in reality is closer to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. Em is standing there, looking at the paintings. She's trying to act carefree, but is holding onto her bag a little too tightly. When she hears your footsteps, she's startled. Then she sees you, and her eyes immediately fill with tears. She runs up to you and gives you a hearty hug. God damn it, Chad, god damn it! You stay in her arms, silent for a little while. The bonds of blood run deep. This feels right. You're so cold. What happened to you? You look into her eyes and start searching your heart for a lie that would satisfy her, if only for a little bit. I decided on a soul-searching trip. I suddenly decided to do a little traveling, you know? See the world, figure out all the things inside my head. You stop mid-sentence. It's perfectly obvious that you're not exactly telling the truth, and her expression makes it obvious that she knows. What happened? Chat, talk to me. All the life-saving words she sent your way, from the exhibition, from that concept art job to this very exhibition. I've been losing my mind. Talked to literally everybody I know to ask when the last time they saw you was. All the time she helped you get your shit together. I've always been honest with you. The least you can do is return a favor. She has, and she absolutely deserves to know, but she can't. Kadir is waiting downstairs. Chad. Her voice startles you. Your first instinct is to run, and like the beast you've become, you trust it. Chad? You can't do this. Not now. Not like this. She watches you, kindred, and a dying creature of the night. Zoom away from her, run into the elevator, and press the ground floor button. This might be the last time you ever see each other. At least look her in the eye. Force yourself to tell her one last thing. Don't search for me. For your and my own good. She's still stunned to react as the elevator doors close. You slide down the wall, hiding her face in your arms. You find your own priorities disgusting, but what gets you down the most is not the fact that you failed to give closure to the only person you cared about. It's more that you failed to make this farewell beautiful. It makes you feel like a failure of an artist. Even with all this newfound power, you still can't express yourself through the canvas of your old life. You're still stuck in your old ways. But you know Em, she'll take the pain you've caused her and use it to make art that resonates, that sells. What if authentic trauma is the best gift you could find to repay her generosity? Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. If you consider all those emotions commodities, no wonder you're a failure as an artist. The elevator doors open. Better run while she's still up there. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say? Dut. Kadir sighs. Yeah, that's what I gathered from here. I'll keep an eye on the situation. Placate her somehow if she won't stop looking. I've got some well-tested methods. Non-violent, of course. He gives you a good stare at the rearview mirror. You're an artist, aren't you? You nod half-heartedly. So you of all people should know that things never work out the way you plan. There could always be more time to plan. Tools that could help you execute it better. Perfection is just an accident. The only thing you can do is give it your best shot, given the circumstances, and immediately move on to the next thing. When all is said and done, regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. Sophie, your coterie. Those are the materials you've been given, and they're potent ones. Make the best use of them, so that they might create something more beautiful than your artist tools ever did. And as a side note, I envy you. I wish I still had someone to make my knees feel like jelly, even when you can't see them anymore. Just knowing they're there keeps you in touch with what you once were. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Kadir a good, hard look. Thank you. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt, he'll go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Kadir. Can't say you're fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. Can we still go and see oh yeah, we can go and see Agatha. Maybe we can just try and finish up his quest. One of these nights you have to buy something. You reflect as you ring the doorbell to the occult bookstore that serves as Agathon's haven. Perhaps something about the auras or tarot. The same sleep-deprived blonde woman you saw on your first visit opens the door for you. Each kindred has their own servants, and Agathon seems to go for the tired, wicked mom type. Oh, it's you. Come on in. The woman disappears into the back room even as you close the door behind you. Lacking any better directions, you make your way up the stairs. At first you thought the chanting was part of the ritual soundtrack that plays in the shop even at night. As you reach the second floor, you realize that it's Agathon's voice. You come out just in time to see him standing in the middle of his ritual paraphernalia, with his wrist cut open a wrought iron stand holding a blood-red stone. As Agathon chants, blood drips from the wound in his wrist onto the stone. It looks as if it's absorbed into it. It's probably not a good idea to interrupt blood rituals, so you wait in silence as Agathon finishes. A few minutes later, he opens his eyes and smiles ruefully. I've done so many of these rituals. I hope it's not too off-putting for you. Agathon smears a bit of his own blood up over the wound, and you see it close. It looks like he does this so often, he barely pays any attention to it anymore. I'm cool. We're all vampires here. There we are. Agathon picks up the blood-red stone from his stand. This is a bloodstone. Could be useful. He doesn't seem inclined to elaborate. Anyway, let's go. He pockets the stone and leads you back down the stairs and outside to his car. Soon you're on your way to Queens and Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. After parking the car, you follow Agathon on foot as he leads you deeper into the park. Coming to a New York park in the middle of the night might have worried you when you were alive, but now it's normal. If someone tries to mug you, it just means you'll have an opportunity to feed. Agathon walks with purpose, as if he knows exactly where to go. You see the Unisphere, a giant metal sculpture of Earth, lit up so parkgoers can appreciate it at night. You're not sure how Agathon picked his ritual spot, but he must have a purpose in mind. The sculpture stands in the background, giving his preparations added dramatic weight. Stand watch while I perform a ritual. It'll reveal whether the notes we seek are here. I'll lose control of the incantation if you fail to keep me free from distractions. It doesn't look like there are many people around. You settle in for a boring half hour while Agathon mumbles and makes strange gestures, spilling drops of blood at regular intervals. From the outside, the ritual is not particularly flashy. Agathon repeats a mantra under his breath and walks with measured steps until he stops and turns around, walking back. It looks as if there's an invisible structure he must follow, unseen patterns and limits governing his movements. As choreography goes, it doesn't look particularly difficult to learn, but you suspect there are hidden dimensions of skill and understanding involved. The lone drunken woman walks towards you. A lone drunken woman walks towards you. Hard to say what she's doing at the park. She's a little older, white, dressed like a suburban divorcee. What's your friend doing? He's kinda hot. The woman's words are slurred by alcohol, but she seems to have decided that you are this evening's entertainment. Hey, stop being weird and talk to me. The woman seems determined to walk past you towards Agathon. This looks like just the kind of interruption he was worried about. Num, the woman. Agathon is deeply immersed in his ritual, so why not use the time you have constructively? You walk up to the woman from behind, grab her by the shoulders, and sink your fangs into her throat. Blood tinged with alcohol and horniness flows into your mouth as the woman moans from the sudden pleasure of the kiss. Oh, I need to sit down. Just as you lick the wound closed, the woman collapses on the ground, swaying, trying to sweep outright. Suddenly, you hear a scream of rage. Startled, you turn just in time to see Agathon running at the woman on the ground, his expression contorted with hatred. Did the woman make enough noise to interfere with the ritual? That doesn't explain why he's in such a rage. Intervene. You step between Agathon and the woman and lift your hands up in an attempt to calm her down. What are you doing? This is not for you, Agathon. Agathon looks at you wide-eyed. For a second, you're sure he'll attack you. You see him tensing for a punch. Suddenly, he snaps out of it, shaking his head, looking at a terrified drunken woman in disgust and embarrassment. Thank you. I'm so sorry I had to see that. I don't usually lose control. Oh, was that outburst? It wasn't that woman. That was a coincidence. Something triggered a ward. We have to go now. Agathon starts running toward his car, and you do your best to follow. Usually, Agathon drives more carefully than most humans you know, but now something is different. He's speeding, honking at every car that gets in your way. You're driving towards the Bronx, and twice Agathon almost collides with another car. He's clearly not used to driving quickly, but something is overriding his usual caution. You screech to a stop in front of a red tile apartment building. Agathon jumps out of the car and starts running, leaving you to take the keys from the ignition and close the doors. Agathon disappears up the stairs and you follow his agitators shouting. Abuela, it's me, Javi. You get to the 5th floor landing after a run that would have left your mortals have winded to find Agathon banging on an apartment door and fiddling with his keyring. A few of the neighbors poke their heads up into the hallway, but nobody intervenes. Agathon finds the right key and slams the door open, running inside. You follow, entering what looks like the home of an old Mexican lady. There are portraits on the mantelpiece and a crucifix on the wall. The apartment smells musty with old age, and you detect a faint odor of vampiric blood. Sylvia, where are you? You come to the living room to find a body covered by a blanket in the corner of a sofa. The television is on, but the sound is off. It looks like a Spanish language channel. Agathon tears at the blanket, pulling it away in a panic. It reveals an old woman, waking up in bleary-eyed confusion. Javi? Why are you barging in like this? Who's your friend? You're alive, Abuela. Agathon hugs the old lady and then turns to you. You'll have to introduce yourself. I'll check the wards. Something triggered them, and I'll have to see if they still work. Sylvia snuggles deeper into her blankets. This is vampire business, isn't it? Always when there is trouble, it's the vampires. You stare at her startled. Clearly the masquerade hasn't held in this household. Turn it into a joke. Yeah, exactly. Frankenstein's not far behind. Anyway, I'm Chad. You must be his grandmother. Frankenstein is not real. He's made up by those people in Hollywood. This is about the girl who came to visit. I can tell. Harvey was never good at keeping secrets, so much like his mother. You hear Agathon rummaging around the small apartment, almost as if he's scratching at something on the walls. He's always doing that, writing on the walls with blood, making runes. I tell him to cover them with the photos and the paintings, but he won't listen. I have to do it myself. That explains this faint smell of vampire blood in the apartment. Otherwise, how can I invite friends for tea? They'll ask questions if I have runes all over my walls. It doesn't look like a Christian home anymore. What does she want? What does she talk about? The girl was here. What did she talk about? She wanted to know what Harvey was like as a child. I told her he was an adorable child, always so dutiful. She was a vampire too, I expect. Are you a vampire? Surprised by the suggestion, Sylvia laughs uproariously, mirth convulsing her aged frame. Oh no, please don't say things like that. I'm an old woman. Nothing hurts. Agathon returns to the living room, still agitated. She wanted to send a message. If we don't let her find the notes first, she'll hurt my abuela. He glances meaningfully at the old woman. No, she won't. She gave me a message for you, Harvey. She said to think very carefully whether your clan will really protect your loved ones. Agathon stares at Sylvia, stunned and confused. She was here to tell me that. Maybe that's good. Doesn't sound like she wants to hurt you. She was a nice girl, I can tell. Oh, abuela. Chat, let's go. This is all we can do here. You say your goodbyes, and soon you're back outside, sitting in Agathon's car. What a catastrophe. To think Juno was here. The boards trigger when a vampire enters the perimeter, so Juno was there just as I was doing the ritual in the park. I'll take you to your haven. Agathon starts the car and begins to drive towards Manhattan. He appears agitated, emotions coursing under his stoic face. Your grandmother is very spirited woman. She's all I have left of my family. We came here from Mexico City when my parents were still alive. The kindred have always haunted my family. Every generation has its own tragedies. Agathon is gripping the steering wheel harder than he should, although he's back to his usual careful driving style. I'm sorry this happened to your grandmother and that you have to fear for her safety. This is what it's like for all kindred who have a mortal they love. The thing is, if you don't want to lose your battle with the beast, you should probably hold on to those relationships anyway, even when it hurts. Agathon drops you off in front of your haven. The experience leaves you with disquieting thoughts. You met Agathon's grandmother under awkward circumstances, but he clearly loves her very much. You don't know enough about the world of kindred to say whether that's normal or not. It seems to keep Agathon connected to the world in a way that feels alien for some of the other kindred you've met. Perhaps there's a lesson in that. Okay. Oh wait, accidentally rested. Oops. I still had half a day left. My bad. Thought I was done. Okay, we'll just do the Agathon thing. We'll just finish up the Agathon thing. I think this should be the last one. You're in your haven when someone knocks on your front door. Puzzled, you open it. Agathon stands in the hallway expectantly, as if the 10 seconds it took for you to come to the door was an impossible imposition. You need my help? You're gonna hunt for the research notes, you need my help? Yes, exactly. Let's go. You follow Agathon down to the street, wondering what kind of revelations tonight will hold. So far, Agathon's rituals haven't been successful at locating the research notes, but you've learned a lot about the Tremere and Agathon himself. This time I've got it. The problem is, when an old vampire disappears, even from our clan, we're so secretive that it's hard for us to find out what they were up to. Agathon's car is parked at the curb. You get in and he starts to drive. You may have guessed that the notes we're looking belong to an old member of our house. The problem is that we need them to continue her research. What's the research? Oh, wait, who's the missing clanmate? Yes, her name wouldn't mean much to you, but it's 𝑰𝒏𝒂𝒎. Oh, I remember. I know that one's from.
It was in another vampire game we played. I think it's Parliament of Night. No, not Parliament of Night. The other one. One of them basically. Oh no, it's Night Road. It's Night Road. We read about Nvidia calling Night Road. We faked her death and everything. For us, the only thing that matters is that she's not here anymore and we're left to pick up the pieces. You're getting used to sitting in Agathon's car in silence. He drives, you look out the window, back to Queens. Eventually, you roll up to an industrial area called Willets Point. It doesn't really look like a place where a blood sorcerer would hang out. Agathon parks the car in front of a car repair shop that looks like it has seen better days. There are huge puddles of water on the road and car wrecks strewn about. Better be quick. If I can find this place, so can Juno. You look around to see if someone is observing you, but there don't seem to be any people about. And why would there be? Who would hang around at a place like this at night? Agathon tries the front door of the car repair shop, and then circles around to the back. You follow him. There's a broken window in the back, protected by iron bars. Agathon grabs them and gives them a quick shake. The entire iron grille comes off. Startled, Agathon lowers it to the ground. I suppose someone has already broken in and didn't want to leave an obvious point of entry. You and Agathon climb inside through the window. It's awkward, but not difficult. Looking around, you realize that the repair shop has been abandoned for some time. It looks like homeless people have stayed here in the past, but nobody's currently squatting on the premises. You try and light a switch, but nothing happens. You know the drill. I'll do this ritual in the office. Make sure there are no interruptions. Agathon makes his way to the repair shop's office, a slightly cleaner area than the rest of the building. He begins the ritual in the dark. Stand guard patiently. You lean against the grimy wall. Agathon murmurs the strange words required by his blood magic and takes carefully measured steps across the filthy floor. You wait patiently as he performs the ritual. It feels like it's taking longer than usual, leaving you time to scan the room. Streetlights filter in from outside, but it's still pretty dark. A ratty sleeping bag lies on the floor. Wonder what a warlock might have wanted in a place like this. There's a small TV on the desk, probably from the 90s. Looking closer, you realize there's a post-it note in the middle of this TV screen. You take it. It reads, "Loser, Juno." Agathon stops gesturing. "They're not here. How is that possible?" You show him the post-it note. He takes it and looks it over, as if suspecting it might hide a devious trick. But she has the notes, and she had the glow. You have to go. It feels like you spent a lot of time recently hurrying after Agathon, as he walks briskly in and out of buildings into his car. He stops the car as he closes the door. We have to go to our haven and get the notes. There's no time to waste. Despite the urgency of his words, Agathon drives as carefully as ever. It seems that only a threat to his grandmother is enough to make him drive recklessly. What do we do with her? Is she an enemy? Let's not be hasty. I'm sure we can talk this through. Agathon doesn't sound too convinced. Juno's haven is in Brooklyn, in a waterfront warehouse. Agathon drives south to Brooklyn. This is one of the advantages of being undead. Moving at night, traffic is much lighter than if you wanted to zoom around the 5 boroughs during rush hour. Parking the car, Agathon points to a light coming from an otherwise dark yellow brick warehouse. That's her. Let's go in. Okay, let's just use the front door. No time to get fancy. You go to the front door of the warehouse. The door has glass panes, so you can see the inside of the warehouse. There are candles and an ornate ring of occult symbols covering the entire floor. Juno is sitting in the middle with an animal wash basin in front of her and is peering into it. You try to listen, but it's difficult without making yourselves conspicuous at the pane. You have to talk to her. Agathon tries to break down the door by ramming into it with his shoulder. It's flimsy and breaks with surprisingly little effort. Agathon, just in time. Juno, you have to stop. Hand me the notes. Oh, Agathon, you're such an idiot. This is beyond you now. I'll give you one last chance. Come with me. Forget Aisling and her power games. Join me and you can become your own man. What? Agathon seems genuinely flabbergasted at this suggestion. Don't listen, Agathon. You're loyal to your clan and your grandmama. Juno glances at you, annoyed. Why involve her in this?
Sylvia is old and soon enough she'll be dead. No reason to miss an opportunity on her account. You see Agathon ball his hands into fists. Juno said the absolute worst thing if she wanted to convince him. You never understood love, Juno. I guess not. Juno sighs. She doesn't look surprised at Agathon's refusal to come with her. I would have felt badly if I hadn't offered you the chance. Come back to the chantry with me, Juno. Talk to Aisling. You see that this is not a good idea. You glance at Agathon with concern. You're no sorcerer, but finding Juno in the middle of her ritual circle doesn't seem like a good idea. 2 words. Would you? I don't think our powers will work on her, but we can just run over and grab the notes from her. While Juno's attention is focused on Agathon, you lunge at her. She doesn't even have time to blink before you grab the folder from her and keep speeding out of the building. You don't look back, and you anxiously await Agathon's return by his car. It's only a few minutes that he emerges from the warehouse, looking worse for wear. He nearly stumbles out, clearly in pain, and you see that his skin has turned to an ashy, unhealthy color. He looks at you with a smile nonetheless. His voice is a croak. She got away. The notes? You point to the folder. Good job. You see he's beginning to recuperate from whatever happened inside, but as you take off, his driving is even more careful than usual, each move making him wince in pain. You sit in silence as Agathon drives you back to Manhattan. Traffic in the small hours is mercifully slight. You consider your next words. Did she join Tremere rebels? Is there even such a thing? There is. It was formed by a woman named Karna. We used to be pretty monolithic about not anymore. But not anymore. I suppose Juno will be happy with them if they accept her now that she's failed. You reach the occult bookstore. After Agathon parks the car, you head inside. You climb to the 2nd floor to find Aisling Sturbridge waiting for you. She looks surprisingly casual for someone with such power. You have good news, I hope? Yes, we have the notes. Agathon hands over the folder. Aisling Sturbridge caresses the cover with obvious joy. Wonderful. You did not disappoint. What of Juno? We were not able to stop her. She escaped. Well, no matter. Agathon, you proved yourself yet again. And Chad, looks like the pyramid has a good friend in you. Accept the compliment in silence. You nod, not saying anything. Agathon looks relieved. You leave the bookstore with praise ringing in your ears. Even the taciturn Agathon manages a smile. You have no idea what will happen with the notes, but you feel that you have reached an understanding with Agathon. Perhaps that's enough in this world of backstabbing and betrayal that you now inhabit. Okay, we save here. And then Agathon feels like the only normal person. That is true. Agathon feels nice, then everyone else is like, why are you out to get me? You gonna murder me? Everyone's out to murder us. But yes, we have been. You're also normal, I think. Except I punch a lot of people. Hey, CupCon is on. Let's just send you guys to CupCon today. But yeah, we're gonna end this here because I've been reading for 3 hours. Tomorrow we're not going to have a stream. We're not gonna have a stream for the next 2 days. But on Valentine's Day we will do another visual novel. It won't be Vampire the Masquerade, but it will be some sort of dating sim, I suppose. But for now, I'm gonna send you guys over to the general. So see you Friday on Valentine's Day. Bye bye.